programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:02. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I am in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning.
How you doing this morning? No, that's okay.
Get everything fired back up after the power outages yesterday.
So Westfield really got hit. We didn't, as far as I know, at least my side of town, but I don't think we lost any power in West Springfield. So yeah, I wasn't aware. I was actually at the senior center working when everything came through, and we were okay there. We didn't.
My power
lose
blipped
power there,
for about 20 seconds.
Okay.
It went off.
Yeah.
And then it came back on, and as I was getting prepared for a conservation commission meeting.
Okay.
Which is a little scary when your computer takes a long time to boot.
Yeah.
So I had to get that set up. Here apparently we lost power because the computer was beeping when I came in.
Yeah.
And looks like a good section of the south side of town, south of like Little River.
Okay.
Lost power.
Also, well, okay. Looks like, is everybody back up?
I think so.
To
yeah.
speed now?
Yeah.
Pete, what do I have in my background? This does not look
that's
like
the generic background.
This does not look like the green. I'm thinking, well,
yeah,
whoa,
that's the generic background. I'm trying to get that running too.
No, that's okay. Just I was curious. I'm like, where am I this morning?
Yeah, gonna take a minute.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Take your time. So while you do that, I will let everyone know that today, July 13th, is National Barbershop Music Appreciation Day. So here you go. Can you hear that sweet music? On July 13th, National Barbershop Music Appreciation Day celebrates a cappella style of music and commemorates the anniversary of one of its musical societies. Barbershop's music's roots lay in African American culture and their traditional improvisational music from the 1800s. Folk songs and hymns sung in 4 parts led to the 4-part harmony of barbershop music. While many of us associate a cappella music with a quartet, entire choirs also sing barbershop. Barbershop groups also comprise people of all ages and from every background. Their performance can be heard at local events or national competitions. The music is often uplifting, spiritual, or merely fun, and features songs with understandable lyrics and easily singable melodies. Two qualities that I now value. Now that I'm a little older, I appreciate understanding the lyrics and being able to sing along. Across the country, organizations like the Sweet Adelines, founded on July 13th, 1945, bring women of all ages together. The melding of their voices makes crowds swoon to fun tunes. Much like the men's organizations, the women also compete. They tune their voices and rehearse while also performing locally. Sweet Adelines International founded National Barbershop Music Appreciation Day in 2005 to commemorate the organization's 60th anniversary. On July 13th, 1945, Edna Mae Anderson founded the organization in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Today, it boasts almost 21,000 members worldwide. So happy National Barbershop Music Appreciation Day. It never ceases to amaze me on what we can come up with
there you go.
in order to celebrate. But it's kind of cool, actually. So, all right. So, Pete, you are heading to Florida soon, right? For the
Thursday into Friday, yes.
Thursday. Oh, so
I'm
how are you
gone
going
this
down
week.
this year?
Auto train.
Oh, that's right, because you have to take your car with all your stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. You can't be flying down there.
Well, I could, but I looked at the price for a flight and a car rental for 3 weeks, and it was about $4,000.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah.
So
You said never mind.
I said to Babe Ruth, I said, here's the quote that I just got for flying Southwest and a car rental.
Yep.
From Orlando even. It's cheaper in Orlando. It's still $4,000. And I said it would cost me $1,200 for you to rent me a private roomette on the auto train and me come down. And they're like, yeah, book it.
We'll do it. Yeah. So what does that mean for you now, Pete? Where do you have to drive to, and then what's the process
It's about
here?
a 7.5 hour drive to Lorton, Virginia, just below D.C.
Okay.
And then they valet your car onto the train, and then you board the train, and then my roomette comes with dinner, which is nice because it's an overnight train.
So do you have like your own little space?
Yeah.
Or like your own, almost like your little car?
Yeah, I won't be in
that
coach.
would be kind of cool.
It's like a 3x6 or 3.5 by 6.5 room.
Yeah.
But it's enough to be private.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yep.
And then just kind of do my own thing, do work and
Yep.
sleep, and it has 2 seats in it, but they fold down into a bed.
Okay.
And it actually has a bunk that folds down, so you could actually kind of fit 2 people in there.
Yeah. And so how long is the train ride?
It's overnight. It's about 19 hours.
Okay. Yep.
So it leaves at 5 o'clock. It comes in around 10 o'clock the next morning.
Yep.
In Sanford, Florida, which is
I know exactly where Sanford, Florida is.
just above Orlando.
Yeah. I know exactly where Sanford is because when Grace was living down in Florida, our daughter, she was living in Lake Mary, which was like one town over from Sanford. And we found this fabulous place to eat in Sanford. The guy who owns it's this little corner place. And we had asked around. We were staying at a bed and breakfast, actually, in Sanford at the time. And she said, oh, you have to go to this place. It's like the place all the locals know about.
Tell me the place if you can remember it.
I will. You know what? I think Gary might remember it. Well, Grace would certainly remember it. But yeah, it was awesome. Really great.
Because I'll date that when I get off the train.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, I have to remember to ask those guys.
Yeah.
So so I'm very familiar with Sanford.
Yep.
So cool.
We'll get off the train there, and then it's about a 2-hour drive down to Jensen Beach.
Okay.
And I got to hit the ground running. So.
And so when is the first game? Like when does everything start?
I think it's like Tuesday or Wednesday
so
we hit the first
few
games.
days to kind of get everything set up. And
Yeah, but we have experience and stuff like that, so
Oh,
there's
yeah.
a lot of stuff to set up.
Oh
so
yeah, absolutely.
all the office trailers have to be set up, all
Yep.
kinds of stuff.
All right. And then, and are you feeling better? Because you were not feeling well last week. Are you doing a little
I
bit
was
better?
doing better for a while, and then something bloomed again, and I'm
Okay.
back to hacking. So
All right. Well, it'll be interesting to see how you do down there, Pete, if the, different air quality and
Yeah,
that
I
kind
might-
of stuff is.
I can't
a bit
take. I can take. Apparently, I can take Zyrtec, but not the other one.
Okay.
But because it makes my heart race. The other one.
Yeah. It's kind of important.
Yeah. So I might take that down there. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah. See what happens. All right.
Usually I do okay, but I think it's the forsythia bushes.
Okay.
The ones that look like fireworks, not forsythia.
No, forsythia are the yellow ones.
What's the one that are
I don't
blooming
know.
right now?
I have no
Hydrangea.
idea. Oh, the hydrangea. Yeah.
I got three or four of those out front, and since those have bloomed, I felt like crap.
Okay. Well, there you go.
But this year,
So maybe-
I have the windows open. I don't have the air conditioners
Right.
in, so
Right. And that.
that's probably why.
Yep. Well, and in that case, of course, you'll go to Florida and everything indoor is going to be air conditioned. So, see if
Right.
it kind of clears up while you're down there too. And that might be the ticket for you, Pete.
Crossing my fingers, bringing cough drops.
There. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because you got a lot of work to do down there. Now,
Yep.
do you have a crew that works with you, Pete? I mean, do you have some people that
Sort
kinda
of.
know what they're doing or
Not really.
not really? Okay. So you
Sort
have to
of.
kinda train as you go along.
I have a couple of high schoolers that did it last year that hopefully
Okay.
come back.
Okay.
But the thing is they don't realize that I'm not only am I the guy that
kind of oversees it, but I'm also the engineer. So if something goes wrong and we have to set stuff up, I need to be away from the desk, and they always think they can chain me to a desk.
Yeah.
And I keep telling them, listen,
Yeah.
all hell's going to break loose if something breaks, and I got to
Yep.
go.
Yep. Yep.
They don't believe me, but, whatever.
Yeah.
I just get up and go and tell
Yeah.
the tournament director, okay, now you got to do this.
Right. Exactly. Good way to do it, Pete.
I warn them, and then when it happens, I say, I told you.
Exactly. So this is what I said would happen. All right. So now while you're gone, I know Kenny is going to do cleaning in here, I suppose. Is that what the plan is?
Yes, I won't be able to find anything when I get back.
Right,
yes.
exactly. But it's going to look amazing. Is he going to? He's not doing any painting, is he? The last time you went away, Pete, we ended up with a lime green wall behind us.
I don't know if there's any paint left. He might do some touch up because there's scuff marks starting to happen on the green wall there for the chairs.
Now I can see that.
People love to smash into that wall.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what the problem is, really. There's plenty of room over here.
I have no idea.
All right. So Kenny's going to be cleaning for 2 weeks, and then for the third week that you're gone, he's going to be doing some of the shows live.
First week in August.
For those who want them. I opted out of that option. So we're going to do 3 best of shows for the next 3 weeks because I need to start working seriously on my own cleaning over at the senior center. We're going to be doing some renovation up in one of the storage areas, and I have to get it all cleaned out. And so toward that end, that's what I'll be doing. And I have this amazing high school student, Susanna Hitchcock, who has been a volunteer with us since she was like 3, seriously. And out of the blue, I got this fabulous email from her last week saying, I have some time this summer. Do you need any help? And Susanna's the kind of person that she actually came in during COVID, at the height of COVID. She and her sister, Alex, who had also been a volunteer with me they were both volunteers when they were in middle school. And they came in January. This was it must have been 2021, and took down the Christmas trees that we had put up, that Marion Krause and Barbara Wojcik had put up, and carefully boxed everything up and labeled it. It's quite the production to put those up and down. So anyways, Susanna's going to help me with cleaning out the storage area and sorting things through. We're going to be getting rid of some things and relocating some items. So that is going to be a mega project. So that's what I'll be doing while Kenny's cleaning here. And I'm hoping that we can get him over to the senior center to next week. We're doing our first indoor party next week at the senior center. For those of you who don't know, our summer sizzle and float party. Sizzle because it's hot outside, and float because our dessert is root beer floats. And we have Richie Mitnick and Dave Colucci, who did our outdoor party in June. We're bringing them indoors in July. So we still have some tickets left. There are not many tickets left for that. On the menu is Yankee Pot Roast. Yankee Pot Roast and root beer floats for dessert, and Dave and Richie. I can't give you anything more than that. That's really awesome. So, and I'm hoping that that Kenny will be able to tape that so that we could use it for future Channel 15 performances. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, if you are interested in a ticket, please, you have to actually purchase your ticket in advance. This is not a call-in reserve thing. It's actually come down to the senior center. We have them at the front desk. The tickets are $5, and you can get up to 4 tickets for the people in your party. We just need to know everybody's name so we can fill out our list there. So that's my little commercial on our upcoming summer sizzle and float party at the senior center. Come and get your tickets, because I suspect within the next day or two there won't be any left. So
there you go.
Don't want you to be disappointed. All right, let's take a break. And have you been able to pull up this good old barbershop song? Great. Okay, so because it is National Barbershop Appreciation Day, we're going to listen to the 139th Street Quartet singing a good old barbershop song. We'll be back.
Now whatever happened to the songs of then? Oh, how I love to sing them all again. Oh, won't you sing me a good old barbershop song, one where the whole gang can sing along, a song with a beautiful melody and plenty of good clothes lost harmony. Just sing about the good times of long ago. Not too high and not too low, not too soft and not too strong. A good old barbershop's good old song. Whatever happened to the songs of then? How I love to sing them all again. With sweet Adeline, sweet Caroline, that old barbershop star. And where's the gang? That gang that sang the heart of my heart. They'd croon a tune of Dixie and the tears would start. I'd love to sail away on the old Henry Clay and sing a good old barbershop, but one more song. Sing an old barbershop song, good old song, barbershop song, good old song.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
I'm Mark Auerbach. Join me every Friday at 8 a.m. for Arts Beat, where you'll meet interesting actors, directors, designers, and musicians here in Western New England.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:18. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. I'm in the studio with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. And Pete, now I see my background. Is this a different view of...
It might have got knocked last night.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say,
moved
it is
a
the
little
green, but I was going to say it looks a little bit different than what it usually looks like.
With the high winds last night, it might have got knocked around.
Yeah, it did. But there it is in the background. So we are back where we belong, right in front of the Westfield Green.
By the way, do you know who's a honorary member of the National Barbershop Society?
I do
Lifetime
not.
member?
Who?
Mike Rowe.
Mike Rowe.
The Dirty Jobs guy.
I don't know Mike Rowe.
The announcer.
Dirty Jobs. Oh.
You know his voice.
Okay. I may very well know his voice. So he is, well, you know what? I bet there are a lot of people that are like secretly in barbershop quartets.
He's been in it since he was
That's
a kid, and his
interesting.
best buddy, that like since high school,
Well,
he's been singing barbershop.
I think singing barbershop, you know what? The only thing I can liken it to was that when I was in high school, I was in the show Bye Bye Birdie. I did a lot of theater and stuff, and I was in the show Bye Bye Birdie, and we had to sing. One of the songs was, it wasn't a cappella, but it was 4-part harmony.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a great singer. I mean, I'm okay, but that's not my thing. I'm more of a dancer. And that was really, really hard. And when you're doing barbershop, it's like everything is 4-part harmony pretty much, everything you do. So I think it would take a lot of talent to do that. I'm really impressed with people who can. And you don't hear as many of the women doing it. You know, we think barbershop quartet, you always think of men, but women do it as well. So, Pete, I have a question.
You would know the voice. Hold on. Let me play
Okay.
a little bit of the voice for you.
Okay.
And moved to Clearwater, Florida. And that is how Bob became a famous TV star. Of course, it wasn't as easy as all that. It never is. Bob had no experience in front of the camera, so his journey to stardom came...
Have you ever watched Deadliest Catch?
No. No. Yes, I have.
He's
I
the
take that
narrator
back.
for Deadliest
Okay,
Catch.
I was
He's
going to
the
say, take that
narrator
back.
for
I have
how
once.
the universe works.
Okay.
He narrates a ton of stuff.
Yeah, you know what? Gary flips through those, and that's when I saw it. I was watching it. Gary was watching it, so I sat down. I was having
Gary
something
probably
to
know
eat,
who he
and
is.
He probably would, because he watches a lot of those kinds of shows. He's
Yep.
fascinated with animals living out in the middle of nowhere with no resources, any of those kinds of shows. He's really fascinated with that. So today is the second Wednesday of the month, which means it is Brown Bag Day. Well, it's actually the Wednesday after the second Tuesday of the month. That means it's Brown Bag Day.
The Wednesday after the second Tuesday.
Yeah, so, that's the way the Brown Bag program runs, Pete. So the second Tuesday of the month is when they deliver the food, and then we distribute it the next day.
Gotcha.
Almost always, the second Tuesday of the month is followed by the second Wednesday of the month, but not always. Every once in a while, because of the way the calendar works, it actually becomes the second Tuesday is followed by the third Wednesday. So it's a little confusing. So we just always say to people, Brown Bag is the Wednesday after the second Tuesday of the month. So now the second Tuesday of the month or the second Wednesday of the month usually on WSKB. Don't we have the is it Chamber Chatters? Or
Yep.
will they be in today?
As far as I haven't
far as
heard
you
from,
know?
but as far as I know, he'll be
Okay.
in.
Well, you know what I wanted to mention to our Chamber Chatter folks. So July is Independent Retailer Month. So this I learned. So let's talk a little bit about that. So the entire month of July celebrates Independent Retailer Month. The month-long observance offers an opportunity for us to show local small businesses our appreciation. According to the Census Bureau and Small Business Administration, independent retailers employ approximately 51% of the U.S. workforce, excluding non-farm workers. In addition, they often supply products and services normally not found in the big box stores. If you're looking for a custom fit or a special gift, independent retailers are stepping up to the task while providing quality craftsmanship. Of course, many owners and operators work long hours and dedicate extra time to the success of their business. This dedication brings vibrant local goods to market while keeping tax dollars at home. Independent retailers also support their communities by offering flexible employment, both full-time and part-time. And I like this line. I think this is absolutely true. They are the people sponsoring local events, school sports, and many other organizations in the community. By shopping at a local independent retailer, you're also supporting the town in which you live. Head down to Main Street or your town's retail district to see what your local retailers have available. You'll be surprised by what they have to offer. Whether you're looking for specialty foods, clothing, or books, independent retailers offer goods and services not found in larger stores. Thank your local independent retailer by promoting their business. And, we talk about that on the show a lot, and I think it's on this station a lot, and I think it's just really important. But I found some independent retailer statistics that I thought were kind of interesting. So each $100 spent at local independents generates $45 of secondary local spending compared to $14 for a big box chain. That was through the Institute for Local Self-Reliance. How about the statistics? Since 1990, big businesses eliminated 4 million jobs, while small businesses added 8 million jobs. That's from the Small Business Administration. 57.2% of small firm workers scored in the highest commitment/employee loyalty category compared to 40% of large firm workers. So smaller firm workers they like their job, they like who they work for, and they like to continue to do that. Only 6 cents of a dollar spent at a big box retailer stays in the area. That's the Indiana Main Street program. And this last statistic, this one I really like, if every family in the United States spent an extra $10 a month at a locally owned independent business instead of a national chain, over $9.3 billion would be directly returned to our economy. So there you go. So support your local independent retailers, and we have a lot of them here in Westfield, so it should be pretty easy to do in our fair city. Okay, couple of announcements. Well, first of all, let me announce my guest this morning. Second hour will be Milagros Johnson. Milagros is director of the Mayor's Office of Consumer Information, which is based out of Springfield, but they cover the whole greater Springfield area, including Westfield. Milagros has been a guest on. She hasn't been here, Pete. She was up at the college when we were still doing the radio show up at Westfield State University.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, because she told me that. She said, "Oh, am I going to the college?" And I said, "No, you're not. You're going to Westfield Tech, even closer." But she's a regular on our local news channels. I've seen her multiple times on Channel 22, on WWLP, on their news. She is just a wealth of information when it comes to fraud, scams, identity theft, all of those kinds of consumer issues. And I've invited her to be on the show this morning because many residents in Westfield received a letter last week from Comstar Ambulance Billing Services about a potential breach of information. And Millie's office in Springfield started getting phone calls. Apparently, Westfield is not the first community in the area to have this problem. There was another community
I think the breach is probably nationwide.
across the river. Well,
They use them for the billing service.
She was specific to Westfield and I don't want to name the other town because I can't remember which one it was, but it was another one of the local, not Springfield, but one of the other suburban areas in Springfield. And she'll probably talk about it when she comes on the show. But anyway, so we had I found out about it because I had a senior who brought in the letter. He was very upset. And how did this happen? And he didn't remember. Most of the seniors that have been bringing in their letters, which has been a fair number, don't remember, using the ambulance anytime recently. But as Millie said, they're not sure how far back the data goes. I mean, it could go back, several years. So anyway, Millie's going to come in. She's going to talk about what happened and what people can do about that. And so she will be on a little after 7 o'clock and take the second hour of the show. So stay tuned, especially if you're somebody who got the letter. And we have run the complete gamut of people. Obviously it's an ambulance service, so a lot of seniors have used the ambulance service or members of their family have. So they're the ones that are really the recipients of these in a big time way. And we've had people coming in, wringing their hands and what do I do? This is horrible. And then we've had other people that said, I didn't really know what it was all about, so I threw the letter out, So probably we don't have to worry about either of those extremes. So I think Millie will kind of tell us what to do, what we can do. Also, I want to remind folks today it is Brown Bag Day. So that means we'll be doing brown bag food distribution between 9 and 10 this morning. For those of you that participate in the brown bag program, please be respectful of that time frame because I can tell you it's really humid today and it's supposed to get pretty warm out there. So at 10 o'clock exactly, my staff and I are coming back inside. So that just make sure that you get there between that 9 and 10 o'clock. And most people are really awesome about that. Most of our folks come through between 9 and 9:30, and we appreciate that. The faster we can get you in and out, the quicker we can all get back to work. So I do have a bit of an announcement to make. Many of you know, although the phone is still ringing, so not everybody got the word of this, but most of you know that our senior benefits coordinator, Karen Noblet, retired as of June 30th. We did have a caller yesterday who wanted to make an appointment with Karen. It was very upset when I think it was he found out that Karen does not work at the senior center anymore. She's enjoying her family and the summer weather right now. But we do have, I've been promising people that we would work very quickly to try to hire someone for that position. We have done that. So thank you to Robert Bishop, who is our personnel director, who has worked really quickly with me to get that position filled. And the person who's going to be filling that position is actually a current employee with the city working on the school side. Her name is Lynn Hills. She's been doing benefits counseling for employee benefits counseling for the employees on the school side for 12 years. She has.
I know Lynn.
Yeah, she's gone through this SHINE training. And what's really kind of fun about this is Lynn has been saying for all the years that we've known her, Karen Noblet has my dream job. That is the job I would love to have someday. Well, guess what? Lynn has been hired. So she's actually going to be, her official start date will be August 1st. But she will be doing a little bit kind of easing into it and kind of in both jobs for several weeks. You know, she'll be orienting herself to the senior center, still doing her job, and then hopefully they'll have find someone fairly quickly to fill that position, and she'll do some training of the person taking over for her job where she is now. So all that brings me around to the fact that she's going to be working this week. She could only work just a couple of hours at the senior center, and that was going to be today. And so I said, great, be there at 8:30, because you're going to help us with brown bag. So because Lynn will be in charge, as Karen was, of the brown bag food distribution program. I'll be running it for a couple of months until Lynn settles into her new position. But this was an ideal opportunity for her. So she'll be outside with us and kind of, get the flow of it and start to meet folks. And so as you're pulling up, you can certainly introduce yourself, and we will introduce Lynn to you. And then she'll be working probably some afternoons next week, and it'll pick up as we get closer into August, because we have to get her in there and settled before Medicare open enrollment starts in October. So that's going to be the real trial for her. All right, it is 6:31. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses on WCPC Cable Channel 15. In honor of Independent Retailer Month, we're going to listen to the Captain and Tennille singing about shopping around. We'll be back.
Just because you become a young woman now, there's still some things that you don't understand now. Before you ask some guy for his hand now, you keep your freedom for as long as you can now. My mama told me you better shop around. You better shop around. Woo! There's some things that I want you to know now. Just as sure as the wind's gonna blow now, the men will come and the men are gonna go now. Before you tell them that you love them so now. My mama told me you better shop around. You better shop around. Try to get yourself a bargain, girl. Don't you be sold on the very first one. Good-looking guys gonna dime a dozen. Try to find you one who's gonna give you true loving. Before you take a man and say I do now, make sure he's in love with you now. My mama told me you better shop around. You better shop around. Try to get yourself a bargain, girl. Don't you be sold on the very first one. Good-looking guys come a dime a dozen. Try to find you one who's gonna give you true loving. Before you take a guy and say I do now, make sure he's in love with you now. Make sure that his love is true now. I hate to see you feeling sad and blue now. My mama told me you better shop around. You better shop around. You better shop around. Oh yeah, you better shop around. You better shop around. Oh yeah, you better shop around. Oh yeah, you better shop
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldstate.bncollege.com.
Join us every Thursday morning
from 6 until at least 7:30.
Check out the Bobby G and Company Show
Right here on WSKB 89.5.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:35. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
So not only is July National Independent Retailer Month, but it is also, and this is a really fun one, National Ice Cream Month. So we really have to talk about that because what the heck, it's the summer. And so ice cream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. If you haven't guessed it, July is National Ice Cream Month. It's a perfect time to cool off with a scoop of your favorite flavor. The exact origin of ice cream is unknown. What we do know, however, is the origin of ice cream likely dates back to AD 54 to 68, somewhere in there, during the time when Nero was emperor of Rome. Evidence shows harvesting ice or snow, then flavoring it with honey or other flavorings to make ice cream. Alexander the Great supposedly enjoyed icy drinks that had flavorings such as honey or nectar. The first appearance of ice cream in the United States is found in a letter by Maryland Governor William Bladen in 1744. Early presidents also had a liking for ice cream. In fact, in the summer of 1790, George Washington spent approximately $200 for ice cream. For a while, ice cream was only an occasional special treat, mainly for the rich. In 1843, Nancy Johnson patented the hand crank ice cream maker. 8 years later, in 1851, Jacob Fussell built the first ice cream factory. The invention of mechanical refrigeration helped keep large amounts of ice cream cool. Further improvements and new inventions in technology made ice cream more available to the general public. So here are a few fun facts about ice cream. Vanilla is the most popular flavor of ice cream. The ice cream soda was invented in 1874. It takes roughly 50 licks to finish an ice cream cone. And California produces the most ice cream in the United States. And thank you to the Westfield News and the reminder, because they keep giving us these Sunday drive sheets that look like this. It's a big handout thing in your sheet. But what I really love about this is it's all about where to go for great ice cream in our area. So I was reading one of these, Pete. So here's the list. There are like 8 or 9 of them. Well, first of all, in Westfield, it's Northside Creamery, which, believe it or not, I have never been to. Really? Yeah, I haven't. I mean, I pass it. I pass it all the time, but I don't do a whole lot with ice cream. But Okay, so there's Northside Creamery, which is open. The summer hours are 2 to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. So over 33 flavors of our homemade hard ice cream and 24 soft serve flavors. Wow, that looks really awesome. Okay, and then there's the one on Union Street with the that's at the Golf Acres. It looks like Whippy's.
Mr. Whippy's.
Yeah, Mr. Whippy's. So that's 317 Union Street, and they are open daily 9 to 9. So those are the 2 in Westfield. Then there was one, this one kind of intrigued me. So this one's in Granby, Mass. It's called Cindy's Drive-In. It's 455 East State Street.
Yep.
It's open daily 11 to 9 and then 11 to 8 after Labor Day. And it is home of the famous long dog. So it was voted.
Yeah, they do have good food.
Yeah, voted best hot dog in Mass. Can't leave New England without visiting Cindy's. That was from Travel Channel in 2018. Largest and best ice cream selection in Western Mass. Voted top 75 places to eat in Western Mass by Mass Live. Kids play area, free sprinkles since 1995.
And occasionally they have live music too.
Really, it's Granby's original 1950s drive-in. I gotta get up there.
That
That
is
sounds
true.
so fun. And
It's
then-
out by the old. It's out by where
Where's-
McDuffie is, at the old monastery on Route 202.
Oh, the old, okay, that's where. Yeah, that's right. That was McDuffie. Was that? Yeah. Okay. Oh, I know exactly where that is. All right. Then there's Elsie's Creamery. That's in Ludlow. Now I have two of my staff members who live in Ludlow, so I'm going to find out how good that one really is. The best homemade ice cream, they say. More than 40 flavors of your favorites. Soft serve shakes and sundaes. So that's 631 Center Street. And then right in East Hampton is Mount Tom's homemade ice cream. And that's 34 Cottage Street right in East Hampton. And that's open daily 12 to 9. And then there's Nick's Nest in Holyoke. And there's one in Sunderland. So, yeah. So, and
Mr. Cone over in Chicopee, where I had black raspberry and vanilla ice cream
Oh, I
yesterday.
love black raspberry.
Yeah.
That is like one of my favorites. If I'm going to splurge on ice cream, I'm going with either black raspberry or like a Rocky Road.
And then, of course, Moolicious over in
Oh, and Moolicious. Yeah,
Southwick.
why isn't that on? That's not on this sheet. Why isn't that on this sheet?
Joe doesn't play well with others.
Okay. All right. But yeah, oh my God. Thank you for reminding me. So anyway, happy National Ice Cream Month. So you have all of July. I remember one year, our good friend Lauren Veit, Gary and I, she's now a doctor at Children's Hospital, but when Lauren was, I think she was in college, she decided during National Ice Cream Month that we were doing a lot of running at the time, especially Gary, and Grace was running track at Holyoke Catholic. And so anyway, and Lauren had been a runner. So she decided they would all go for runs, and then she decided that they needed to, start checking out all of these different ice cream places throughout the month, and they would go to a different one every time they went because they wanted to, compare and contrast.
Sure.
So yeah, it was kind of like a research project. That's what we kept telling her. So anyway, happy Ice Cream Month. And, again, this kind of goes in with support your local independent retailers because most of these are, locally owned and small mom and pop. All right, a couple of announcements. Last week on my show, I had Trina Moskal, who is an independent Medicare planning specialist. And I wanted to remind you, because we have gotten calls from people who would like, more information about Medicare. They have questions about it. They're turning 65. And of course, Karen Novlet has been retired now for a couple of weeks. So, as we wait for Lynn Hills to settle into her new job, contacting Trina is certainly, an option. And Trina will be in Westfield today between 10 and noon, between 10 o'clock this morning and noon, at the CVS drugstore. The CVS drugstore on East Main Street. So that's the one over by Applebee's. So if you have questions, it's a free service. She'll be there. She'll walk you through what you need to be walked through. So if you have any questions about Medicare, if you're turning 65 or you're just not sure about the plan you're in or whatever, Trina Moskal will be at the CVS pharmacy over on East Main Street today from 10 to 12. And since I won't be here next week to announce this, next Tuesday, July 19th, from noon to 2, she'll be at the other CVS pharmacy, the one right down the street from us here on the corner of Elm Street and Route 20. So that is, I told Trina that I was going to send people her way because we were having people call. Last week, I announced that the children's performances every Friday morning at Stanley Park were starting. And the first performer last week was Tom T-Bone Stankus, who I've had at the Senior Center. Fabulous. Apparently, he did a great concert because there was a huge spread in the Westfield News, I think, on Monday, and everybody looked like they were having a blast. He had them up dancing and doing a conga line, and he's just a great entertainer.
Cool.
This Friday is Big Joe the Storyteller will present ticklish tales and silly stories from around the world. The show includes folk tales, fables, and fairy tales from around the world that will make the audience laugh, chuckle, giggle, and smile. Along with the stories, there will be puppets and lots of fun. And, first of all, thank you to Hillary McEwen and the group at Stanley Park for putting on these programs, which are, they're just awesome programs. And they really get good quality people for these Friday morning and for their Sunday concert series as well, their Sunday evening concert series. But anyway, bring your grandchildren, your children, your neighbors, your friends, because this is great for kids of, I would would say probably like 3 to 8 would probably be the best sort of age range for most of the programs over there. Maybe 3 to 10. So so that's Friday morning, this Friday, in the pavilion. So you'll be covered, and it's at 10 o'clock, and it's free. So there you go. You can't beat the price. Also want to remind everybody, Farmers Market is happening every week on Thursdays at the Church of the Atonement in the front yard. Please park in back of the church. Please do not park over at the Arbors and cut across the lawn, because the Arbors needs all their parking spaces for their residents and the guests who are visiting them. But anyway, the Farmers Market is open every week on Thursday from noon to 5 p.m. And I think that's all. Unfortunately, they send out their weekly newsletter with all the vendors. Like, they'll send it out today. So when I go back to my office, I'll get it. And I told them it's too late for me to, let my listeners know who the vendors are going to be for that week, because it comes out a little late. Whoever was running it last year was able to. She would sneak a preview copy to me the night before on Tuesday night, then I could announce it. But you know what? Lots of good stuff. We're at the height of the summer, so lots of fruits and vegetables and vendors. So go check it out. And then, of course, we have Bruce Marshall with his Cruisin' with Bruce on Tuesdays at Hampton Ponds Plaza in Westfield, 5 p.m. to dusk. And if you really want to see some cool cars and some old cars and listen to some great oldies music, Bruce is there with his crew every Tuesday. So that's all happening. And before we take a break, I also just want to remind folks, when Joe Rouse was on last month, we were talking about summer safety tips. And I think this one is so important. Please, please, please remember not to leave animals and children in a car in the heat in the summer.
Right.
Even with the windows open a bit at the top, folks, it gets so hot so fast. We deal with this every summer, every year, and it's like I don't want to see another tragedy on the news. So please be mindful of that. Pets and animals should not be left unattended in a car.
You would think it would be a no-brainer.
You would think, especially children, babies, toddlers. I mean, please be a responsible parent, caregiver, babysitter, whoever you are. Those cars. If you think, even if it's not super hot outside, when you're in a car and it's glass and you've got the sun in there, it heats up like that, folks. All right, it is 6:47. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses, and WCPC cable channel 15. So in honor of July, which is Ice Cream Month, I found a song called Ice Cream Freeze by Hannah Montana, or Miley Cyrus. It's her real name. But anyway, so we're going to listen to Ice Cream Freeze. We'll be back.
All right, here we go. Follow me now. Come on, hit it. Everybody, do your dance. Ain't nothing better than an all-out jam. No, ha. Are you ready for a little something new tonight? Oh yeah. I got a brand new step I think you're gonna like.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Listen to me, Michael Buster McMahon, Mondays 8 to 10 a.m. to learn the stories behind your favorite songs. Or don't. I'm not the boss of you.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:51. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses on WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I am in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
So everything's up and running now with...
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, pretty good, pretty good. All right, so let's do a few famous birthdays. So today is July 13th. It is the birthday of the late Bob Crane, actor, drummer, personality, radio personality, and disc jockey, born on this date in 1928 in Waterbury, Connecticut. And he died June 29th, 1978, at the age of 49. Bob Crane grew up in Stamford. In 1950, he began his career in radio broadcasting at WLEA in Hornell, New York. He moved on to Connecticut stations WBIS in Bristol and then WICC in Bridgeport, a 1,000-watt operation with a signal covering the northeastern portion of the New York metropolitan area. In 1956, Crane was hired by CBS Radio to host the morning show at its West Coast flagship KNX in Los Angeles, California. His show quickly topped the morning ratings, and Crane became the king of the Los Angeles airwaves. His acting ambitions led to regular guest star appearances on The Donna Reed Show. He played a doctor on The Donna Reed Show, the family doctor. In 1965, Crane was offered the starring role in a television sitcom set in a World War II POW camp. Hogan's Heroes involved the sabotage and espionage missions of Allied soldiers, led by Hogan, from under the noses of the oblivious Germans guarding them. The series lasted for 6 seasons, and Crane was nominated for an Emmy Award in 1966 and 1967. Unfortunately, Crane's career declined after Hogan's Heroes. He became frustrated with the few roles that he was being offered and began performing in dinner theaters. Crane was found bludgeoned to death in his Scottsdale, Arizona apartment while on tour in June of 1978 for a dinner theater production of Beginner's Luck. The homicide remains officially unsolved. His previously uncontroversial public image suffered due to the suspicious nature of his death and posthumous revelations about his personal life.
He was a freaky dude.
He
I read
was a freaky dude.
I read a biography about him. He was into some weird.
He was into weird
stuff.
He frequently videotaped and photographed his own sexual escapades. During the run of Hogan's Heroes, Crane was introduced to John Henry Carpenter, a regional sales manager for Sony Electronics, who often helped famous clients with their video equipment. So that's how the two got to know each other. The two men struck up a friendship and began going to bars together. Crane attracted many women due to his celebrity status, and he introduced Carpenter to them as his manager. Crane and Carpenter videotaped their joint sexual encounters, so it got really, as Pete said, pretty weird and kinky.
It was freaky, yeah.
And freaky, yeah, pretty. And you know, what was really strange, Pete, was on the outside, he was married, he had children, he went to church, he did all those things. So all this came to light after his death.
And behind the closed doors.
Exactly. So Crane's son, Robert, later insisted that all of the women were aware of the videotaping and consented to it. But some said that they had no idea they had been recorded until they were informed by Scottsdale police after Crane's murder.
I call BS.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the whole thing was pretty weird. But anyway, yeah. So and it was so funny because when I started doing that as a birthday, I said, "Oh yeah, the star of Hogan's Heroes. Let's do him." Then I'm reading this and I'm going, "Oh my God, this is really much."
At one point, I read a
juicier
biography
than
about him. He was a weird dude.
Yeah, really strange.
It was pretty depraved, as they say.
All right, well, let's try somebody different. So it is also the birthday of actor Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford was born on this date in 1942 in Chicago. He's 80 years old today. In 1966, Harrison Ford made his film debut in a bit part in Dead Heat on a Merry-Go-Round. I love this. Studio executives were less than impressed. One studio official said, "You'll never make it in this business." Frustrated with his lack of success as an actor, Ford became a carpenter to supplement his income. Producer, director, and screenwriter George Lucas gave Ford his first important role in the 1973 drama American Graffiti. But Ford's career failed to progress much afterward. He worked with Ford Coppola as both a carpenter and an actor, with small roles in The Conversation, that was back in 1974, and Apocalypse Now in 1979. In 1977, Ford collaborated with Lucas again for his breakthrough role as Han Solo in Star Wars. His portrayal of the brash but likable rogue in this science fiction classic raised his profile in Hollywood. The film's two sequels, The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, helped to make Harrison Ford a star. Around this time, Ford brought another of his legendary film characters to the big screen. He played resourceful, swashbuckling archaeologist Indiana Jones in 1981's Raiders of the Lost Ark, directed by Steven Spielberg. The action-adventure tale, written in part by George Lucas, proved to be a huge hit. It spawned several sequels, including Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Those were in 1984 and in 1989, respectively. Around the time of the first Indiana Jones installment, Ford also starred as the title character in Blade Runner, a shadowy science fiction outing directed by Ridley Scott that would become a cult classic. Subsequent hit films included Witness, Working Girl, Patriot Games, The Fugitive, and Air Force One. Harrison Ford showed his dramatic talents in 42, a film about the life of African-American baseball legend Jackie Robinson. Ford plays Branch Rickey, the baseball executive who signed Robinson to play for the Brooklyn Dodgers. So happy 80th birthday to Harrison Ford. Less controversial so far than Bob Crane.
Yes.
We'll see. And today, finally, is the birthday of actor and comedian Cheech Marin. He was born on this day in 1946 in Los Angeles, California. He's 76 years old today. Cheech Marin grew up in Granada Hills, where he developed a reputation as a class clown, and he sang in his friends' bands. He attended California State University, Northridge, where he majored in English literature, but he left 8 credits short of a degree to move to Vancouver, Canada, and avoid the Vietnam draft. Marin was delivering carpets when he met Tommy Chong, a musician who was running an improv comedy troupe from a strip bar owned by his family. After a brief spell with the troupe, Marin and Chong began performing as a musical act and then as a stand-up comedy duo. As Cheech and Chong, they struck a chord with the late 1960s counterculture crowd by playing up their ethnic stereotypes. Marin is Mexican-American and Chong is Scottish-Irish-Chinese, and spoofing their stoner lifestyles. The two brought their act to Los Angeles in 1970, and shortly after catching the attention of record producer Lou Adler, they released their first album, Cheech and Chong, and that was back in 1971. Their 1972 follow-up, Big Bamboo, became the highest-selling comedy album in history at the time, and Los Cachinos, released the following year, earned them a Grammy Award. In 1978, the duo made a successful transition to the big screen with the cult stoner hit Up in Smoke. They wrote and directed multiple sequels to Up in Smoke, but eventually tired of the material and split up after releasing their 9th album in 1985. Cheech Marin's rebounded in the mid-1990s, starting with his voiceover work as Bonsai, the hyena in Disney's 1994 mega hit, The Lion King. He then enjoyed prominent supporting parts in the Robert Rodriguez films Desperado and From Dusk Until Dawn. He landed the plum role of Inspector Joe Dominguez on Nash Bridges, a TV crime drama starring Don Johnson that aired from 1996 to 2001. Marin owns what is considered to be the largest private collection of Chicano art in the world. Seeking to bring exposure to unheralded artists, he formed the Chicano Visions American Painters on the Verge exhibition, which toured several major American cities. He currently serves on the board of the Smithsonian Latino Center and the Hispanic Scholarship Fund, and has been honored for his work with the Latino community. So happy birthday to Cheech Marin, who is 76 years old on this date. So pretty cool.
He just reprised his role in a Nash Bridges movie they had a little while ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I used to watch Nash Bridges. I didn't know they did a movie.
Yep.
I'll have to check that out. All right, it is 7:01. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. We'll take a short break and we'll be back with a few more announcements.
Underwriting is brought to you by Boise Cascade Distribution, providing products and services needed for building material dealers, home improvement centers, and industrial customers. They offer everything from engineered wood and plywood to Drex decking and railing, James Hardy siding, and Advantech subfloor. Located at 33 Fowler Street Extension in Westfield and on the web at bc.com, they are committed to providing quality products, great service, convenience, and value.
Underwriting for Community Radio on WSKB is brought to you in part by Rockies. Over 30 convenient locations throughout Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Florida. One of the nation's largest ACE dealers. Expertise and great product selection in paint, hardware, lawn and garden. That's Rockies. Rock solid service since 1926. On the web at rockies.com.
Hi, it's Bob Plass, and I have Wow, It's Tuesday, every Tuesday, 6 to 8. Wow, it's Tuesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
I did it!
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:05. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
And our guest is here and ready to enlighten us and inform us. My guest this morning is Milagros Johnson, director of the Mayor's Office of Consumer Information. It's good to see you again, Millie.
Nice to see you again, Tina.
I wish it were under better circumstances, but so let's talk. I mean, I have been, talking about this segment of the show. We put out an alert to the mayor, the city councilors, and Senator Vilas and Representative Pease about this show, what we were going to cover today. And this all started because about a week ago, actually one of my seniors, what started it was one of my seniors brought in a letter. And here it is. Actually, two of them on the same day that they had received from Comstar Ambulance Billing Service. And I didn't know anything about this until I saw the letter. So, very upset and, I don't understand what the letter means. And so I said, well, let me look it over. So I looked it over and I'm sort of trying to figure it out myself. And then I said, well, all right, well, let me look into it. And the next day, this appeared on the front page of the Westfield News, which is breach may have exposed residents' data. Incident possibly affected those who were billed by Comstar for ambulance transports. And so, but of course, part of what was in the article was the fact that Westfield Fire Chief Patrick Egloff said in a letter to Westfield residents that anyone in the area who has been transported by ambulance may have received a legitimate letter from Comstar warning them of the breach possibility, including their personal data. And of course, that was one of my first things when I looked at the letter, is this legitimate? Because we have seniors bringing mail into us all the time. And, is this legitimate? Is it something that I need to be concerned about? Oftentimes we're just saying, nope, just shred it. You don't need to do anything with it. But this one I thought, oh, wait a minute. And then, of course, I saw the article. And then I think it was like the next day that I got the phone call from you saying that I guess people had also started contacting your office in Springfield. So, I think the question is, what happened? What do we know about what happened? You have seen a copy of the letter as well, right? You've said. Okay, so let's start with, what, Millie, before we even get into that, let's talk a little bit about you and your background and what you do so that people sort of have a sense before you get into, oh my gosh, what happened and what can we do?
Thank you. That is an important question.
Yeah,
because first of all, they're probably wondering, what is the Springfield Mayor's Office of Consumer Information doing in Westfield?
Right, there you go.
So let me clarify that.
Okay.
We are a local consumer program funded by and working in cooperation with the Massachusetts Attorney General's Office, and we serve Hampden County and a good portion of Worcester County. So we are your local consumer protection office, Westfield. Pay attention.
Right,
okay? Because
exactly.
we are your local. Even though we're in Springfield, we're local. And Tina, you know me for years.
Yes.
I've been at your center several times to give presentations and participate in events. So I'm glad to obviously be here today on such an important topic.
Yes, and just to let our viewers and listeners know as well, we have referred a lot of people over to Millie's office. When we have something that we a lot of things we can kind of deal with, but if it's a little bit more than what we feel we have the expertise to handle, we don't hesitate. Here's, the brochure. I don't know if you have a new brochure. This is the one we've been handing out and using. And so yes. And so you do cover the Westfield area.
Yes,
You've made presentations at the Senior Center. You've been on the radio show before when we were up at college. So, so wanting people to understand that all legitimate, she knows what she's talking about.
Thank you. So I've been doing this job for 21 years. And in those 21 years, we have helped thousands, and I mean thousands of consumers, and recover millions of dollars for them in recovery from, they file a formal complaint, and we're able to successfully resolve it by getting them back a credit, the money, the product, a replacement. And so consumers need to advocate for themselves, right? First of all, if they have a problem and they're not sure how to resolve it or how to go about handling it, they should call our office and speak with a consumer specialist and ask the questions. One thing that I want to say before I continue is that a lot of seniors, the first thing they say when they call our office is, I have a stupid question, or this question may be stupid to you. Well, first, I want seniors to know that there is no such thing as a stupid question to us. If it's important to them, it's important to us, and we want to hear about it. If it's bothering them, if it's concerning them, if it's disturbing their peace, we want to know. We are their local eyes and ears.
Yeah, I think the other problem that we hear too, Millie, and I'm sure you do too, is a lot of times seniors are embarrassed.
They should.
You know, they feel like they've been taken advantage of, and it's like, I should have known better, or I was so stupid. Why did I give that information, or why did I let that person into my house, or why did I continue that phone call? And I know for a fact, I mean, I've had some seniors that have lost a lot of money. And when I say, listen, we can, no, I don't want anybody to know. I don't want my family to know. You know, there's that element of shame and embarrassment. I think people need to just, everybody can be taken advantage of. I think sometimes they feel it's like, because I'm an older adult, that's why. It happens to people in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and all the way up.
Exactly.
So.
And for the record, we are a judgment-free zone.
Yeah, right.
And my assistant, Camille Christian, who you've met, is just as passionate as I am about helping others, especially the seniors. We take them, we treat them with, you know, the best quality care we possibly can. We give them undivided attention, and we answer their questions. So consumers, if you have any concerns, if you have any consumer issues that you need help with, you can contact our office. The complaints are centralized through the Attorney General's office in Boston if they want to file a form of complaints, but they don't have a computer. If they don't have a computer, we'd be more than happy to assist them doing that for them.
Yeah, and that's
not a
that's
problem.
another huge problem
Yes,
for a lot of
but-
our seniors. You know, I don't have a computer, I don't have a smartphone, I don't know what to do, and we're like, you can call them, you can call
Yes.
Millie's office, you can call the Office of Consumer Information,
you know,
and they will help you.
Yes, you know, I've helped a senior that I didn't have transportation to Springfield, and I would meet her at the Westfield Center to go over her complaint and gather her documents. So, you know, if you need assistance with whatever, we're going to help you. We're going to do our best between Tina and I. We're going to do the very best to accommodate their needs.
Absolutely.
So, yes. So, anyhow, that's who we are. That's what we do.
Yep.
And our phone number is 413-787-6437, and I'm sure Tina will include that.
I will.
On her webpage.
Yep, we absolutely
And they
will.
can always email us as well. And those that have, you know, email can email us at MOCI, short for Mayor's Office of Consumer Information, at springfieldcityhall.com.
Okay.
We have,
Milagros, how many people do you have working in your office? I mean, I've met you and who's the
Camille.
Camille.
Camille is my other full-time person. Yes.
Right, okay.
So we attract student interns who do a fabulous job from local colleges, and right now we don't have one, and then volunteers as well.
Okay.
But
okay,
you
good
know,
to know.
Camille and I are an excellent team. Honestly, we really are. We do the work of, I want to say, 4 people.
You do.
Effectively. I mean, we're out in the community. We're managing complaints. We're, you know, we're complying with the AGO, Attorney General's Office, guidelines, which are very strict. I mean, we have a grant that we have to comply with.
Yep.
So, yeah, no, we definitely, and we're out in the community. We're out throughout Hampden County and parts of Worcester County. So
I didn't realize that you covered that far. I knew you were in Hampden County. I didn't realize that you were covering part of Worcester County as well.
Yes, we do.
And is there a like a sister office in other place in this state?
That's a good question. There are 19 of us throughout the Commonwealth.
Oh, okay.
So it's broken down by county.
And by areas.
And by areas, yes.
So no matter where you are in the Commonwealth,
yes.
Okay.
There's one in Northampton and Greenfield.
Okay.
There's another one in Worcester, in the city of Worcester. There's one in Lawrence. I mean, Cape Cod. They're everywhere.
Perfect.
So
okay.
You just have to go on the Attorney General's website and find, you know, where to connect to your local program.
Okay. All right. So that's kind of a good place let's take a little bit of a break because we need to take our quarter-hour break. But now that we know who you are and sort of what you do, we're going to get into the specifics of dealing with this Comstar ambulance billing service.
Yes.
When we come back, you're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. Again, if you're just joining us, my guest this morning is Milagros Johnson, who is the director of the Mayor's Office of Consumer Information here in the greater Springfield area. So I chose this song because we're going to get into this a little bit. It's The Great Pretender by the Platters. So we're going to talk about scams and identity theft. We'll be back.
Oh, yes, I'm the great pretender. Pretending that I'm doing well. My need is such, I pretend too much. I'm lonely, but no one can tell. Whoa, yes, I'm I'm the great pretender, adrift in a world of my own. I play the game, but to my real shame, you've left me to dream all alone. Too real is this feeling of make-believe. Too real when I feel what my heart can't conceal. Yes, I'm the great pretender, just laughing and gay like a clown. I seem to be what I'm not. You see, I'm wearing my heart like a crown, pretending that you're still around. Too real is this feeling of make-believe. Too real when I feel what my heart can't conceive. Yes, I'm the great pretender, just laughing and gay like a clown. I seem to be what I'm not. You see, I'm wearing my heart like a crown, pretending that you're still around.
Underwriting for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield, serving the youth of the Whip City and surrounding communities since 1969. For more information on the Great Futures Club for ages 3 to 5, happening weekdays, and the Club Teen Center for ages 11 and older, weekdays from 6:30 till 8 p.m., go online at bcgwestfield.org or visit the club at 28 West Silver Street. The Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield. Great futures start here.
I'm Mark Auerbach. Join me every Friday at 8 a.m. for Arts Beat, where you'll meet interesting actors, directors, designers, and musicians here in Western New England.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:18. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses, and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with Milagros Johnson, who is director of the Mayor's Office of Consumer Information. She works out of the Springfield office, but covers the greater Springfield and a little bit of the greater Worcester area as well. So welcome again, Milagros. And so the topic at hand is a letter that many of Westfield residents received, and of course, a lot of them were senior citizens, were older adults, from Comstar Ambulance Billing Service, and it had to do with the potential for a breach of security information. So you're familiar with the letter. In addition to the letter, there was a form on enrolling in credit monitoring through Equifax and a couple of other things. So talk to us about what you know, because I know you've been doing research. Westfield is not the only town that's had this issue. So let's talk about the letter.
Of course. So I first found out about it when Long Meadow Senior Center contacted us, advising us that they had seniors who had received the letter and had multiple questions, and they weren't sure, first of all, whether it was legitimate or not. So I asked them to send me the letter, and I verified. It seems like it's authentic. Because of that, I decided that, maybe I should go and offer them a presentation. Fast forward, I have something scheduled for the near future, and then I contacted you when I saw on the news that Westfield residents had also received the same letter. I need for the record that I'm not endorsing or criticizing Comstar in any way. I'm here to talk about identity theft and to answer questions for the seniors. They have concerns. They have every right to know what their rights are and better understand what the letter states.
Yeah, I
and,
think
and
that's
what their
where,
options
yeah,
are.
I think that's a good place to start, because I think that's the question that we're getting is like, what does this mean? And so that's why we had all these reactions of either I need to do something right away, or I don't understand it, so I'm just going to throw it away, and kind of everything in between. So what does the letter say in layman's terms? Like, what does this mean?
Okay, and that's the simple way I can explain it is CompStar gathers information about patients, right? They gather their name, date of birth, social security number, insurance information to provide the service. Well, their records were, there was a data breach, and all the information that they've compiled over the years for the city of Westfield was obviously compromised. As a result, someone out there, or people out there, or individuals out there, aka scammers, right, potentially, have that information or could have access to that information. As I said, it's not just the consumer's name and address, but their date of birth, social security number, and insurance information. As you know, identity theft is the fastest growing crime in America. It continues to grow steadfast. So, which is why I've always been a strong advocate about consumers protecting their information. In this case, the information that was compromised could potentially put the seniors at even greater risk of not just identity theft, but potentially medical identity theft, because don't forget, they have, now these individuals may have access to their insurance information. So they could seek medical care, and I don't mean to alarm anyone, but I'm being realistic here. There's the risk of that occurring. And so this is the reason why I am here, to tell the seniors exactly what they need to do and how to protect themselves. And I'm sorry if I'm referring to the seniors, because perhaps younger people receive the information as well.
There were a lot of people that received it, but I would say because it's an ambulance service, you know, let's be realistic here that the bulk of that is probably being used by older adults.
Right. So what I did was I gathered all the data that I possibly could and put together what I referred to as a cheat sheet. And Tina, you know, I gave you that.
And here it is. Yep, I have it. So we will have copies at the Senior Center.
And if the seniors are confused as to what CompStar is offering, which is a 2-year identity theft fraud alert, then they wonder, well, what happens after the 2 years, which is the number one question. You know, now my information is out there. So they're offering to protect my information for 2 years and monitor my credit report. But what happens after the 2 years? That's a great question. And the reason why is because usually perpetrators or individuals or companies who hack records, they let things go dormant for a while so that we forget about it. They know that these companies are going to offer some protection for the victims, potential victims of identity theft. So you let your guard down after the 2 years. Nothing's happened.
I'm safe.
I'm safe. You forget about it. So which is why I want to talk about what other options they have.
Okay. So I have, before we get there, I have two questions. One is, many of the seniors have said either they don't remember using the ambulance service was provided through the Westfield Fire Department for the most part through the Westfield Fire Department. Then the CompStar is the billing service, so you know it's not like the fire department does all their own billing. So I have a lot of seniors who are saying, well, I don't remember using the ambulance service, or I don't think I've used it for years. So one of our questions, and I'm not sure that you can answer this, but was like how far back does this go? Does anybody know? It could be many years. Yes?
It could be.
Okay,
and unfortunately, the letter doesn't state that.
Yeah.
And perhaps they should have.
Okay. I didn't know if they knew or they didn't know.
They should know.
Okay.
They should know, because before they put out the alert, they should have, obviously they were aware that there was a breach.
Right.
And when the experts determine what was the breach, how much information did they gather, they should be able
to tell you
I'm not a computer expert, I'm not a computer geek, but I do know from experience that they should have that information. But perhaps they didn't want to alarm the entire city of Westfield You know.
Yeah. Well,
If
you know, I
they're
have
large-
seniors saying, "Oh my gosh, I don't think I've used the Ambien." Or you know, in some case, for the first person who brought this to my attention, it was actually the letter was for his mother.
Okay.
Who he's a senior, so you can imagine, you know, she's much older, and he's like, "But you know, she hasn't used any." So I think because she hasn't used an ambulance in the last few years, it's like, well, this doesn't really apply to me. But we don't know that because we don't.
And sometimes
know
they
how far
don't
it
even
goes
know
back.
how much data has been stolen. They know that there's a hole there and somebody's accessed the system. They might not know what's been accessed. So they
Yeah,
have to
that's
give it to everybody.
Yeah. Then the other question that I have, Milagros, before you get into what happens after the 2 years is what happens during the 2 years? So when you say there's protection there, what does that mean? What kind of protection?
Well, they're offering to monitor. So if anyone solicits credit in the individual's name,
okay,
the individual is going to receive an alert
Okay,
saying someone
gotcha.
tried to open. So when you place a fraud alert on your credit file, you are unable to open any credit until you prove your identity.
Okay.
So, for instance, if I have a fraud alert on my credit file and I go to the mall and I decide I want to open a credit card at one of the department stores,
Yeah. Okay.
when they pull my credit file, there's going to be a red flag.
Okay.
It's a fraud alert.
Okay.
So now I need to prove to the finance company that it's really me.
Yep.
And how do I do that? They ask questions from my credit file that only I know.
Okay.
So that's what a fraud alert
Okay.
is.
All right. So that if some unscrupulous character was trying to do
Correct.
something, they wouldn't be able to answer
They
those,
would-
and therefore they wouldn't be able to get the credit card or the loan or whatever they're looking for.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
So that's what Comstar is offering for a 2-year period. Now, do people have to do anything?
They have to subscribe.
They have to subscribe.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Yes.
there is a process.
It is free.
Oh,
It is
right.
free for 2 years.
Okay.
And I believe that they also monitor for any activity on their social security number. So I know that there are some credit monitoring companies that any activity on the web with your social security number or your personal information, if anyone is trying to target it or get it, you're going to get an alert.
You know, I was surprised at the Social Security aspect because I just find nowadays I didn't think that many people were even asking for Social Security numbers anymore. And I mean, is that still a fairly? I mean, in the old days, that was on all kinds of forms. You'd be throwing out your Social Security number all over the place. And now, you know, if it is, it's like the last 4 digits or whatever it is. But I find there are very few places that have asked me for my full Social Security. And when they do, you know, that my red flag is up. It's like, well, why do you need my Social Security? I mean, I can remember in the old days, like you'd apply for your Stop and Shop card and they would want your Social Security number.
Correct,
I think
correct.
they do. But I was surprised at that.
And there are some medical offices that
That
still
still do?
require it,
Okay,
and there are
right,
some
so that's why they have-
organizations that still ask for it. What I do is, you know, if it's an office and they say, I need your full Social Security number, I ask, well, why do you need it, and how are you going to protect it? How are you going to safeguard it for me?
Yeah.
I need to know that before I release that information.
Yeah.
You have
that's
a right
big
to
one.
know. You have a right to know. And half the time they're going to say, you know what, we can work around it. We don't need it. And
Never
there's your-
mind.
and never mind, exactly.
yeah,
Because now
yeah.
you challenge them.
Yeah.
And it's true, you really don't need to give it to them. Your insurance information is sufficient.
Well,
That
that's what I was
identifies
thinking.
you.
Why do you need my Social Security number if you have my, you know, my Medicare number or my, you know, whatever other number?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So that's what that. Thank you, because that explains what happens during that 2-year period. So, all right. So now, as you said, what happens after the 2 years? What can we do?
It gets the fraud protection is lifted, and now your information is easily accessible to anyone. So seniors probably think, well, you know, I don't have credit. I don't have any open credit. I don't have credit. I don't have credit debt. I don't have any loans. That's a misconception, because you have an identity that's linked to your credit report. Whether or not you have any open credit, whether or not you owe money to to finance companies or on your mortgage, that's irrelevant. You have an identity, and that's why consumers need to monitor their credit reports on a regular basis. And I encourage everyone to do that. Now through the end of the year, it continues because of the pandemic that we can get weekly credit reports for free from all 3 agencies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. So consumers should get their credit reports, and they can get them through annualcreditreport.com.
All right. So what exactly, just so that we're all on the same page, because I know I've got people, and you already said there's no such thing as a stupid question. So what exactly is a credit report? Why is it important?
A credit report is information that's gathered about you. It has, if you look at your credit report, it identifies it has your name, date of birth. It includes your social security number, although when you request a report, only the 4 last digits are on the report. They redact everything else.
Yeah.
It has your address, all of your addresses that you've used when you've opened credit.
Okay.
It has your marital status, whether or not you own or rent, your employer's name or former employer's names, any aliases. If you have a maiden name, it'll be on your credit report. And then the important thing, all of your debts. Everything you've ever applied for. Well, in the past 2 years, if you apply for a credit card or a loan, it's going to be on your credit report. That, and then your payment history, how you pay your bills, is going to be a part of your credit report.
And is that, so Milagros, is that all of your bills, like your utility bills, your phone bill? Is that like all your bills?
All your credit, anything you owe money on. So utility companies, even cable, will report you to the credit report, but only if you go delinquent.
Okay.
If you're delinquent.
Okay.
So it also includes any liens, any tax liens, any judgments against you. So in a nutshell, your credit report is an indication of your character, of your personal character, which is if you understand and you take that in and say, wow, that document is an indication of my personal character and you care about your character, you're going to monitor your credit reports because you want to make sure that that is a true and authentic representation of who you are and how you manage your finances.
So now I have a question. So what happens if you see something on your credit report that you don't agree with? You know, something comes through that, or that there's an explanation for, you know, well, she was late in this payment or whatever. What do you, like, who do you go to?
So under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, lenders and consumers have rights. So if a consumer sees something on their credit report that is not accurate and they have a right to dispute it, they have a right to file a dispute with the credit reporting agency that has the error or the discrepancy, and they have 30 days to investigate. If it's an error, they have to remove it and provide the consumer with an updated, accurate credit report. If they refuse to, if they say, no, it's valid, we reached out to the credit card company and you were late, you can then file a complaint with our office and we can assist to see if we can have it removed. If they can show that you were wrong and they were right and it's going to stay on your credit report, but you remember that during that time that payment was late one time, then now it's affecting your credit rating, but you had a financial hardship, you were in the hospital, you had a death in a family, and there was financial strain in the household, write a letter of dispute and ask that be attached to your credit file. So there are options. Under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, it's a very interesting booklet that I read. So consumers have rights, but so do lenders, and they have to adhere.
Sure.
The consumers and the lenders have to adhere to the protections that consumers have, the regulations in the Fair Credit Reporting Act.
Okay, and so now let me ask, because I've never really understood this. So you mentioned before we've got Equifax,
Experian,
and TransUnion. Are they? Why do we have 3? And if I look at my credit report from Equifax, is it going to be different than my credit? Should they all be the same?
No, they're each independently owned and operated. That's why we have to request.
It gets even more confusing.
That's why we request them, they appear differently. Different lenders report to each of them. So sometimes if it's a major credit card, they may report to all 3. Sometimes they report to 2, but not 1. Our credit scores are different on all 3, even though they may be accurate. Your credit score is going to be different on each of them. So you can't not judge your credit based on one report. You can't judge your credit score based on one of them.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be different. So it's important that you request all 3, which is why you have a right to request all 3 for free with no strings attached through Annual Credit Report, which is an organization that was put together after Congress said, listen, consumers are concerned about their credit files. It's too difficult for them to get their credit reports. Can you make things easier for them? So they came up with Annual Credit Report. One source, all 3 reports for free.
Okay.
Can't get any better than that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I totally agree. All right. Let's let that sink in, everybody.
It's a lot of information.
It is a lot of information. That's why we take breaks. And this is more for me than anyone else. I'm thinking, my head is spinning. All right, it is 7:35. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield Masses, and WCPC Cable Channel 15. Again, if you're just joining us, my guest this morning is Milagros Johnson. She's the director of the Mayor's Office of Consumer Information. We're talking about the Comstar potential breach of information, and we're going to listen to I Found All My Identity Theft song. So this one is called You're Somebody Else by Flora Cash.
Ooh.
We'll be back.
I saw the part of you that only when you're older you'll see too. You will see too. I held the better cards, but every stroke of luck has gotta bleed through. It's gotta bleed through. You held the balance of the time that only blindly I could read. But I could read you. It's like you told me, go forward slowly. It's not a race to the end. Well, you look like yourself, but you're somebody else. Only it ain't on the surface. Well, you talk like yourself. No, I hear someone else. Though now you're making me nervous. You were the better part of every bit of beating heart that I had. Whatever I had, I finally sat alone, pitch black, flesh and bone. Couldn't believe that you were gone. Now you look like yourself, but you're somebody else. Only it ain't on the surface. Well, you talk like yourself. No, I hear someone else. Though now you're making me nervous. Now you look like yourself, but you're somebody else. Only it ain't on the surface. Well, you talk like yourself. No, I hear someone else. Though now you're making me nervous. Well, you look like yourself, but you're somebody else. Only it ain't on the surface. Well, you talk like yourself. No, I hear someone else. Though now you're making me nervous. Well, you look like yourself, but you're somebody else. Only it ain't on the surface. Well, you talk like yourself. No, I hear someone else. Though now you're making me nervous. I saw the part of you that only when you're older you'll see too. You will see too.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Hi, this is Harry Rock, host of Rock on Westfield every fourth Wednesday at 8 a.m. Tune in for my view of this place I call home.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:40. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and in the studio this morning is Milagros Johnson, Director of the Mayor's Office of Consumer Information out of the Springfield. Her home base is in Springfield, but she covers the greater Springfield area and even into Worcester County a little bit. So welcome again, Milagros. We're trying to tease through this Comstar ambulance billing service breach of information, possible breach of information, and what our seniors can do about it. We've talked a little bit about they have offered with the letter that residents got who had utilized the service. They had talked about enrolling in Equifax, a 2-year fraud. Now, is that a fraud alert? What is that? A fraud alert? Because we've got a fraud alert, an extended fraud alert, and a credit freeze.
Mm-hmm. There's a difference.
Yes, I know. And so why don't you go through that so that we can kind of figure out what exactly they're offering here? What is the difference between that? A fraud alert, an extended fraud alert, and a credit freeze. And by the way, that's on the cheat sheet that Milagros has given me, so we will have these available to everyone at the Senior Center.
Sure. So the fraud alert that they're offering is for 2 years.
Okay.
After that, it gets lifted.
Okay.
The extended is one that you request, and that one stays in place until you ask that it be lifted.
Okay.
The credit freeze is what we all should be doing with our credit reports.
Okay.
If we are not going to be soliciting credit, opening a credit, applying for credit anytime soon, or we want 100% protection from anyone opening fraudulent accounts with our information, not having to worry about receiving an alert, rather it's strictly blocked, then credit freeze, where it totally freezes your credit file, and only you can unfreeze it.
Now, how do you, I guess that was my question. It's like, okay, but then how would you unfreeze your own? And when you unfreeze it, do you just unfreeze it for a short period of time to do whatever
correct.
you want to do? So
When
how do you unfreeze that?
You have to contact the three, or if you, obviously, I would recommend that you do all three,
All
not
three of
just
them.
one.
Yep.
Because remember, they're each independently
Sure.
owned and operated, so you want to freeze all three. If you're going to freeze all three.
Okay.
You then provide them with a PIN number, and that PIN number is your access to unfreeze it. So
Okay.
when you unfreeze it, each credit agency is different. There are some that they ask for how long. Others automatically refreeze it after so many days.
Okay.
And then I think another one, the last one, I believe, I don't know if it's changed recently, is you then have to go back and refreeze it.
Okay.
So it's your choice. So for instance, the only negative to freezing your credit is if you need instant credit. Like you need to apply for something on the spot, and you need that. You need to drive off with that car from the dealer, and you don't have the cash, and you need to finance it, and you need it right there and then. That's an example, right?
Yep.
You need to first unfreeze it, because the finance company's not going to be able to get a copy of your credit report to determine whether or not you're worthy of getting the loan.
So when you unfreeze it, Milagros, that was my thought. It's like how many days are we talking about to unfreeze it?
It's instant.
Okay.
Originally, it had to be done in writing,
right,
or a phone call, but now everything can be done on the internet.
Okay.
Like even if you have, it's even easier if you have the app to the credit reporting agency. Then just go on the app, enter your PIN number, unfreeze it, and then refreeze it.
Okay.
Simple as that.
Okay.
But for the seniors, that sounds a little bit more complicated. Seniors are pretty established with their finances. They're not applying for credit.
Right, right.
So I would hope that they would consider the credit freeze, which gives them a lot of peace of mind, and they'll be able to sleep much better at night.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So that, and now I'm looking at your little cheat sheet here, and there's no cost to doing that for any of these.
They're all free. They're all free. I wouldn't be here selling anything, so definitely free.
So I'm curious, if they're all free anyway, why is Comstar saying we'll do a 2-year fraud alert?
Because they're required to.
Okay.
That's a regulation. If any company
they
suffer a data breach, they have to notify the individuals, the victims, the potential victims. They have to notify the Attorney General's office as well. So they have to abide by the rules.
Okay,
and that's why they have to offer some sort of protection.
Okay, all right, and they're just offering it through Equifax, which is just one of the
credit companies, the letter says that, but if a consumer places a fraud, if you need to place a fraud alert, let's say I go home and I suspect I could potentially be the victim of identity theft.
Yep.
Then my first action would be to place a fraud alert, right?
Yep.
So when I call one of the 3 credit reporting agencies, they have a right to notify the other 2 for you. It didn't used to be like that when I started this job 21 years ago.
Okay.
You had to call each of them
Well, that's what
individually.
I was thinking. Do you have
But
to
now-
make those 3 phone
no,
calls?
No, you call one of the 3. Doesn't matter which one you call. You place a fraud alert. Automatically, they're required to notify the other 2. So I'm assuming that with Equifax, I'm not guaranteeing that.
Yeah.
That because they're offering it through Equifax, that they automatically offer it through the other 2 credit reports.
Okay.
I don't know the answer for sure. So
Okay.
because of that, I'm saying individuals, consumers, listeners should place the fraud alert, extended fraud alert, or the credit freeze on the
On
credit
all
files.
3.
Correct. On
Yeah.
all 3.
So if they called one, if they could they, or do they, when you do this, are you talking to a person or
Never,
no?
never. It's all automated.
All right, it's all automated.
automated.
So on the automation, which is why for my seniors who are listening, who are really concerned about this, who are not tech savvy, that's why you call Milagros' office, and they will do that for you, right? I mean, you'll kind of walk you through that. We'll walk you through it.
Yes,
they'll
and
walk you through it.
If they need help, I mean, we're not going to ask for their social security
Right,
number
right.
over the phone,
Right.
But we can meet them at the center. We can
Yes.
sit with them at the computer, and as they enter their confidential information, we step away, so we don't have
Right.
access to that information, right?
Okay.
So we will help them. The
Okay.
easiest way is to call. And yes, seniors, listen carefully. You do have to provide your social security number because that's how your credit reports or credit files are stored on record.
Right.
It doesn't go by your name, it doesn't go by your date of birth, it goes by your social security number. That's your primary identifiable information. So don't hang up when it says, please enter your social security number.
Mhm.
That is a valid question.
Okay, and yeah, that's
And-
through your those are
Yes.
through the credit companies, and that is legitimate.
Yes.
So, yeah. I know.
Yes. And to better assist them and to better guide them, I provided the cheat sheet. And in the cheat sheet, I provided the most accurate phone number, right? I'm not going to give you a number that's going to be to some other
Right, yeah.
third-party company.
Yep.
I provided the links to the
Yep.
website.
Yep.
Never Google, never Bing. Use the URL address line to search annual credit report, to search Experian, to search TransUnion, to search Equifax.
Mhm.
When you want to go to the real source, use the URL address line.
Okay. All right. Yep, got it. And so if somebody wanted to see their credit report, they could, how do they do that? Do they just go to one of these websites?
They should go to get all 3.
All 3.
Go to annual credit report. It's a process. It takes about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes.
Okay.
It's going to bring you to each agency individually, one at a time.
Yep.
It's going to ask random questions that you have to read carefully and answer as accurately as you can. Some of them are tricky, and they do that because if it's a tricky question, you're going to say none of the above. But if it's a perpetrator, he or she is going to try to guess the answer.
Okay.
So the questions that they ask are either 100% from your credit file or just random questions to trick you or trick another person who's trying to access your credit file. So read the questions accurately. Assuming you give the correct answers and it matches your credit file, you will instantaneously get your credit report on the computer.
So what might they, I'm just trying to figure out in my head, how would they know what to ask and whether or not the answers would be right?
Those questions are generated by the computer.
Okay. So might they ask where you lived or something like that?
Exactly.
Okay, something like that. So it'll be something in your past history
Yes.
that you will know, but somebody else wouldn't.
Correct. It'll ask,
Okay.
for instance, in 2020, you applied for an auto loan with which of the following companies?
Okay.
ABC,
Okay.
XYZ,
All right.
LMN company. And then you
Yes.
choose which company you finance or none of the above. If it's true that you did finance, but it was none of the above, then you say none of the above.
Yeah.
But if you did, then you choose which of the other ones it is.
Yeah. Of course, I can't remember what I had for breakfast, so I'm thinking to myself, okay, wait, 2020, okay, that was pandemic year. Right? It's like, but yeah, I can imagine where that, you have to really think about it before you.
And,
okay.
And that's why I tell consumers, make sure that you set time aside for that you're not distracted, that you're not in a public environment, that you don't have a bunch of noise in the background.
Exactly.
Because you really need to read the questions carefully.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're not going to, it's going to say, please, we cannot give you the report now. You need to request it in writing. And then you have to submit all of your identifiable information, a copy of your social security card, a copy of your photo ID, send it in writing. And now you're going to be worried about who am I mailing
Right,
to.
exactly. I am.
So-
Oh, yeah, I hate mailing that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, whose hands might this fall into?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So, are you recommending then, Milagros, that everyone who received one of these letters does this?
Yes.
Okay.
I strongly recommend it.
Okay.
If they choose option 1, which is the option that Comstar is offering, which is a 2-year fraud alert, then after the 2 years, you may want to place at that time an extended fraud alert or the credit freeze.
Now, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
What about someone who's already done this and they get the letter? Do they need to
They
do
don't need to
anything
do-
else? They don't need to do anything.
They don't need to do
They're already
anything.
protected.
Correct.
Because we do have seniors in that situation where it's like, well, because I had an incident, last year or 5 years ago or whatever. So somebody told me that. They said, oh, no, I have. And I wasn't actually even sure exactly what they were talking about when they said, I think it was one of the employees at the senior center said, nope, I have a freeze on. And I did it for whatever reason. There was a reason why they did it initially. So,
Or if they have credit monitoring. A lot of people pay for credit monitoring.
now what is that?
You pay a third-party company to monitor your credit reports. So if anyone tries to open new credit, and it does work. I mean, I have
Yep.
it on my credit files, and when I applied for a loan a few years back, I was actually just leaving the bank, and I got an alert.
Mm-hmm.
So it works.
Wow.
So they let you know. So if you haven't applied for a loan or credit and you get an alert, then that means that someone potentially applied for something
Yes.
in your
yeah.
name.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
So the other thing I want to say, and this is really important, is that placing a fraud alert, a credit freeze, or an extended fraud alert on your credit file doesn't protect you from medical identity theft. Don't forget that your insurance information could potentially be out there in the hands of someone we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, consumers should monitor and read when they receive their explanation of benefits.
Yes.
Make sure that they open it and read it. Don't assume, oh yeah, that's the x-ray I had taken the other day.
Right.
Don't assume.
Right.
Open it, read it.
Yep.
If it's not yours, if it's for medical services or medical treatment that you did not receive, you need to call your insurance provider right away.
Okay, now I'm going to go on my soapbox for just a minute because I think it's really important. When I get my credit card statements, I go through line by line. And if something looks weird to me and I'm going, I don't remember that, especially I first started with especially the bigger, if something was over $100. But now I've discovered that, you got to be careful about some of the smaller ones because I think that if you've got scammers and hackers and, all these unscrupulous people out there that sometimes just, go for the little one you don't notice.
Exactly.
And then, so I think it's really important. And I think with all of the online everything, I think a lot of people don't do that anymore. They just, they get their credit card. Okay, well, that's $400. Yeah, that sounds about right. Instead of really, I do the exact same thing with all my medical stuff. And then I'll go back and say, wait a minute, I think I already wrote a check for this, for this service. So important,
It is.
absolutely with your medical, but I think it's important with everything.
With everything.
With everything,
Yes.
all your credit card purchases, it's, it's kind of like if you see something that, and I know it's hard when you're doing things online and, as you've mentioned several times, you've used that phrase third party. There's someone else in there. So, well, I ordered this, but, wait a minute, I didn't call California for that, but that's sort of the third party.
Correct.
I also keep receipts. I'm a crazy
Oh, so do
person.
I.
And I print out, like if I order something online, I print out, if they say, do you want to, yeah, I want that. So that I can go back and say, oh yeah, okay, that was $29.95. Yep, that was from that purchase. I made that. But,
Good practice to
yeah,
look
and
onto
you
your
are
receipts.
your own best monitor. I
Correct.
mean, you can't expect somebody else to do that.
The other thing that's concerning is that a lot of individuals now are receiving electronic statements.
Yeah.
Because, paperless.
Right.
But they're not reading. They're not
That's
going over
exactly,
their
that's my thing.
statements. They're just looking at minimum due date, and that's it.
Yep.
Or they're on auto pay.
Yep.
If they're on auto pay, then it's easy for the
Yeah.
perpetrator to get away with fraudulent charges on a monthly
Absolutely. Like
basis.
nobody's
Like
checking.
nobody's checking. Correct.
Yeah. So I think that's really important. The other thing, because we just have a couple minutes left, Milagros, and the other thing that you had mentioned off air that you and I discussed that I think is really important, especially for everyone, but especially for my seniors, please remember now that this letter has been sent from Comstar, which is a legitimate letter, that others are going to find out about it. I mean, it's been in the news. So if you start getting phone calls from Comstar, somebody saying they're from Comstar, or they're saying we're from Equifax, let's talk a little bit about that.
Oh, first of all, hang up.
Yes.
They're not going to call you. They're not. If there's a fraud alert and the credit reporting agency Equifax has an alert to issue to you, you're going to receive it via text or via mail.
Okay.
They're not going to call and say, Mrs. Smith, there's been activity on your credit file. Someone is trying to open credit. Can you identify yourself? Can you
verify your Social Security number? Yeah.
Please do not give any information to anyone who is calling you. It's best to hang up. You're not going to be sorry.
Yeah.
Ever.
Okay.
You know,
All right.
and I think, you know, my favorite quote to seniors is, you know, it's your bill, it's your house, it's your privacy. You have every right to hang up the phone.
Absolutely.
And not feel bad about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. You don't have to. Yeah. And we tell people don't engage.
Don't engage.
You don't have
never.
to say, no, I'm so sorry. You don't have to apologize. You're apologizing probably to a scam artist.
And, and don't forget that your information may be out there. So they're going to call, they're going to say, hi, is this Milagros Johnson of blah, blah, blah street and in blah, blah, blah town, and your date of birth is. Now you're going to say, wait a minute, it's got to be legit because they have all this information.
Right.
So don't believe what you hear on the telephone unless you know it's a valid person, you know who you're talking to, and you verify it ahead of time. Otherwise, hang up. If they insist that it's authentic, it's a genuine call, you say to them, you know what, send me a letter. Put it on your letterhead and mail me a letter. And they say, what's your address? Well, you just called me. You have my phone number. You must have my address.
Absolutely.
And hang up.
Yep.
So kind of outsmart them.
Yep.
It's time that we, and I say we because I'm a consumer, right?
Absolutely.
It's time that we step up our game.
Yep.
Because the scam artists they're getting more convincing. They're getting more aggressive. They're taking all measures to convince you that that they're real.
They're legitimate.
That they're legitimate. So it's time for us to step it up. It's okay to set aside the way we were raised.
The etiquette.
To be polite. The
Right.
etiquette. Set it aside.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. In this case, it's okay.
You have my permission anyway.
There you go. And the permission came from Milagros Johnson, director of the office, Mayor's Office of Consumer Information out of the Springfield office. As I said, Milagros has given us a cheat sheet. We are going to make lots and lots and lots of photocopies of this.
Thank you.
We will have them available at the Senior Center, not just for seniors. If we have others who are listening, we are a resource for the community. So please feel free to stop in. We can give you this information. And Millie, if you could just give people your phone number again, if people want to call your office. What's that number?
413-787-6437. And you will get a live person unless, of course, we're both tied up on another call. We answer the phone. You're not going to get an automated service. Press 1 for this, press 2 for that. You're going to get us on the phone, which makes individuals really happy to hear a live person answer the phone.
Absolutely. Milagros, I am so appreciative of you coming in, reaching out to us to really sort of do damage control. I think it's been a lot of information. We are going to put this link, have this link available on the city website so that folks can watch this. You are listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. As I mentioned earlier in the program, Pete will be doing his Babe Ruth thing down in Florida for the next 3 weeks. So we will be doing best of shows for our Wake Up Wednesday. Following this show, Chamber Chatter, they are waiting in the wings.
Pioneer Valley Railroad's coming in.
Oh, wonderful. And one other announcement that I do want to make, when you come in to get your information cheat sheet, we also have COVID-19, the rapid tests available through the Board of Health that just came to us since last week's show. Again, those are available not just to our seniors, but to any resident in Westfield. So if you would like a box, it says on the box that they expire July 28th, but the CDC has actually extended that to October 28th. So all of the testing that we're giving out is good for the next 3 months and change. There are 2 tests per box, so feel free. We have them at the front desk. My greeters are going to welcome you and ask you, if you would like a test. So when you pick up your cheat sheet, pick up a COVID test as well. Until then, stay safe. Happy summer. Milagros, thank you so much again.
You're welcome. My
All right.
pleasure. Thank you.
Heard that this song is the first song that Freddie King taught to Mike Rowe. So here we go.
Last night alone on our way home, you turned and said to me, I love you so, and I want to know, what do you think about me?
Don't answer.
Sweet and lovely, that's what you are to me. Sugar and spice and everything